Hello and welcome to the Rainbow Review. I'm your host, Ramin.
And filling in for Trevor Allen, I'm Ben Weddell.
Let's get started, shall we?
Great.
All right, a high school in Kansas has been the host of a large LGBT protest. Apparently, the senior class of the graduating senior class of Lawrence High School in Kansas participated in a 200 student group project where they went on the social media app GroupMe to discuss contemporary issues, including contemporary issues such as transgenderism and as well as other things facing society. And, well, apparently a couple jocks took the opportunity to say some discriminatory, very transphobic things, such as the standard being transgender is a mental disorder, as things such as does it count if you fight a tranny, does it count as beating up a woman, and equating transgenderism to a mental disorder, and that there are only two genders, which is popular rhetoric among the right and the far right, discriminating against the trans community. This was not taken lightly at the high school, as Elliot Bradley, a member of the school's LGBT organization, the Total Equality Organization, organized a protest. The students who took offense to this language brought it up with the principal and the administration, stating that this was uncalled for and counted as hate speech and was not welcome in the school. To which the faculty replied, "What happens outside of school grounds is technically, well, there's nothing we can technically do about it." However, so the students in question who tweeted or posted the transphobic comments were not brought up on any disciplinary action whatsoever, which just sort of didn't sit well with the LGBT organizations. And so this has been an ongoing problem in this school, such as a lesbian couple were harassed and physically assaulted by other jocks on another school team. And this time they weren't going to take it lying down, so they cited the school's philosophy on the idea of student athletes, that being a student athlete is a privilege, not a right, and that as student athletes they should be held accountable for being good role models, and that this violated that idea of just being, clearly transphobic. And so the students, the Elliot Bradley and other members of the students just formed a sit-in protest in the school's quad. And over time, it grew to up to 75 protesters. Eventually, the students who posted the transphobic comments were brought upon disciplinary charges, and the protest was a major boon to give solidarity to the trans and LGBT community.
In Malaysia, the Malaysian Prime Minister has taken steps to block a large gay festival that they were going to hold there. The Malaysian Prime Minister spoke out against the gay festival, saying that gay people are not natural, and that he would be taking down the names of those that attended the festival and putting them on the Do Not Allow list. This is a list of people that are not allowed into the country. Of course, if they're already in the country, as soon as they leave, they're not allowed back in. Being gay in Malaysia is actually still illegal. It carries a punishment of 20 years in jail. And the Prime Minister does take this seriously, and people do go to jail for that. The Prime Minister also blocked earlier this year the release of Beauty and the Beast, the live-action Disney movie, on grounds that it had a gay character, stating that there was a scene within the movie where the character lifts his shirt and shows a love bite, and that was the reason that he was blocking it for the entire country. So clearly the Malaysian Prime Minister very opposed to anything to do with the LGBTQ movement and community, and is blocking all of that and sending people to jail. So, Ramin?
A similar story comes to us from Azerbaijan, a Muslim-majority country in, well, the northern Caucasus, so depending on who you ask, it's a European country or not. Anyways, in the capital city of Baku, 100 individuals, both gay and transgender, have been arrested by members of the police force. They were, of course, arrested on allegations of prostitution, and these raids, which have been carried out in the name of national security and upholding the country's national morals and protecting the citizenry from basically what is declassified as degenerates. Despite being a Muslim majority country, being gay in Azerbaijan has been legal since the year 2000. However, many LGBT members of the community face discrimination on a daily basis, and there isn't a large protection for their rights. The deputy chairman of the Justice Party defended the police rights to arrest these people and basically went on a tirade of homophobia, saying that the usual, these people are dangerous, degenerates, diseased, cursed by God and immoral, and that they should be rounded up. It has also been alleged that upon arrest, upon arrest, they were forced to give the names and addresses of their friends and family so they could be further rounding up of gay people and trans individuals. Javid Nabiou, the president of the LGBT organization Nefes, which is Turkish for breathe, states that up to 100 people have been arrested and that people are scared, and it's very terse times, and ultimately things are not going very well.
Awful stuff. I read in the article they were comparing the situation in Azerbaijan to Chechnya.
Oh yes, it's been compared to the new Chechnya.
Gosh.
Ironically, both of those countries were Soviet occupied at one point, I believe.
Yes.
So there's some influence
former parts
there.
of the USSR, both of them. So just terrible to think that might be happening in two different countries, both in that same region. Just awful. Well, and more awful news here. A young girl and her mother were burned for the girl being a lesbian. The two were burned within their mobile trailer park home last week. They have a suspect in custody, one Stephen Ray Ensley, who was taken into suspect after the victims were found. Police noticed that both victims were actually found to have been dead before the fire started, meaning that Ensley allegedly killed both of them and then burned the fire, possibly to try to cover it up. Witnesses in the area had noticed that Ensley and the young girl, a young woman named Smith, had been arguing in the weeks leading up to the incident about her sexual orientation. She stating that she was a lesbian, and him arguing that that was not the case. Police also spoke to two of Ensley's family members, and one of them was brought in for questioning at the time. The police are saying that further investigation needs to be done before it will officially be labeled a hate crime, but at this point that does look like where it's going. So, awful stuff.
All right, our next story comes to us from Georgia, where a member of the LGBT community and a student was shot and killed by a member of campus police. Scout Schultz, a 21-year-old student of computer science at Georgia Tech, was shot and killed by a police officer, one Tyler Beek, earlier on Saturday. The officer in question received a phone call in the area with descriptions matching Scout's height and demeanor, and immediately tensions just escalated. The police arrived, as far as we know, police arrived at the scene of the crime and shot Scout Schultz dead immediately. Scout Schultz was a member of the LGBT organization on campus, identified as bisexual, non-binary, and intersex. She was in her 4th year and ready to graduate. And as it turns, and their family is suing the state of Georgia and the university for killing their child, their daughter. The family's lawyer then found out that the officer in question, Officer Beek, had received no training in the field of de-escalation, and that this is a common occurrence on campus, where up to 67 of the 89 campus police have not taken part in the 40-hour program of de-escalation training. Police released a statement stating that Schultz was carrying a knife, and so that gives the officer justification for using lethal force. However, it turns out the knife was a mere multi-purpose metal tool of some kind.
A multi-tool, yeah.
A multi-tool, yes. Yeah. Campus police do not carry pepper spray, do not carry tasers, but they are allowed pepper spray, and the victim's mother questioned why her child needed to die, and why didn't the police use non-lethal force in this case. Police then did not offer another statement, but the family is suing.
That's so awful. Gosh. The most senior cleric in the Church of England, the Archbishop of Canterbury, is now saying that it is okay for boys to wear dresses to school. A couple there in Canterbury was suing their local Catholic school because a boy at the school was being allowed to wear a dress. They said that they were going to pull their children out of the school. They have 2 young boys at the school right now, and that they were also going to be suing the school on the grounds that the church and the school allowing the boy to wear the dress was then, they felt, degrading the education of their children. The Archbishop debated the issue and thought about it for some time, and then came back with the result that he felt that it was okay for the boy to wear the dress because the important thing was for the parents of the boy wearing the dress, for them to come to the conclusion for themselves, and that he felt that the other parents and the other children basically needed to mind their own business. That when it comes to things like this, it's more important for the parents of the child and the child themselves to actually have the discussion and come to a resolution within themselves, as opposed to everybody in the school weighing in on the subject. Kind of an enlightened opinion for the pastorate, for the priest there, the Archbishop. And actually, I did some looking into this. This Archbishop also recently wrote an article for the news article, which we use here at the show, Pink News, stating that in his eyes, gay and lesbian people were no different than any people who might attend a church, and that when asked whether it was a sin, said, well, yes, it's a sin, but many things are sins, and we are all sinners, and gay people are no different than anyone else. And so it's somewhat enlightened, and then somewhat
it's getting there.
It's getting there. It's in my world of Christianity, it's something that I appreciate. He actually had the quote, "Sin is the same for all of us." So in that situation, that we are all equal in the eyes of God, which I think is probably the view from the church that I like to see. Mm-hmm. I like to see that the best.
Well, so isn't the church's position even the act of sex in and of itself a sin?
Well, premarital sex, yeah, fornication.
Well, what about just having sex when you're married but full of lust, for any purpose other than procreation? Some
parts of the church think that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I don't
so
know.
Anything could be a sin.
There's a lot of things that are sin. I had shrimp yesterday. That's a sin. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of sins out there. And but yeah, great position there from the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Coming to us from Russia. Last week, yesterday, was the 8th annual St. Petersburg Pride Festival. Let's see. In Russia, there are, as we know, several laws against the idea of gay propaganda, which were enacted in 2013, which face a penalty of up to 500,000 rubles, approximately $8,000 US, for anyone spreading the idea of LGBT rights and or the idea of LGBT equality. That is labeled as propaganda because you're propagandizing towards children. So you could be arrested for that. As such, not many people have attended Pride in recent years in St. Petersburg. But yesterday's Pride demonstration or protest was one of the largest in years, with over 100 people. Gathering to express themselves in the Field of Mars. The Field of Mars is a designated free speech zone because Russia does not have necessarily free speech everywhere. So the only way a pride organization such as this could take place is if it's in a designated free speech zone on a designated day, and there cannot be more than one demonstration in the free speech zone per day. So it was almost canceled, but it was allowed to go through yesterday, despite the fact another organization wanted to use the day for a World War II event ceremony. So there was the police and the members of the alt-right facing off against the Pride goers in a very heated but very passionate, let's say, demonstration.
In Brazil this week, a Brazilian judge has overturned a decision from 1999 that forbade gay conversion therapy. Brazil actually made gay conversion therapy illegal in 1999, citing that it led to violence and other things that were obviously not what it was intended for. And a judge this week overturned that. That is also in response to another doctor there in Brazil, a young psychiatrist who published a book recently and said that she plans to start performing gay conversion therapy again. And this judge was there to kind of help her out and make sure that she could do that, even though her license has already been revoked. She will still go ahead and try to perform the gay conversion therapy. The doctor there, the psychiatrist, described being gay as a disease, and she says she has a cure. The gay conversion therapy involves a lot of counseling and then also electroshock treatment, as well as aversion therapy, which basically involves showing somebody something that they like and then trying to change their mind about it by hurting them when they see it. So obviously, as you can tell, that can lead to some fairly violent and messed up practices. The Brazilian celebrities came out against this ruling, saying that gay conversion therapy should absolutely be illegal and that this is deplorable that it's now being allowed again. And the leader of the LGBT alliance there in Brazil has said that he will appeal the decision and try to get that back overturned again. Amazing to think that it's not that it was allowed, it was that it was illegal, and this judge has now gone back and overturned that decision. And then to bring all this back again. So hopefully we'll be seeing that decision get reversed once again there in Brazil. So, Ramin?
A Christian couple in Minnesota are suing for the hypothetical right to discriminate against their hypothetical clientele. Carl and Angel Larson, a Minnesota couple who run a video production company called Telescope Media Group, have brought a case up to Minnesota Supreme Court stating that they wanted to reserve the right to discriminate against gay clientele they might have potentially in the future, despite the fact that they have never been contacted by anyone who's gay to have videos produced on their behalf. So it's sort of like a Christian preemptive discrimination kind of thing.
So it's like the cake thing, but no one has ordered a cake
yes,
yet.
it's like the cake that never showed up.
So no one has asked for a gay cake yet, but they're already saying we won't make one.
Yeah, there are no gay videos because their work is stated to be intended to glorify God. They teamed up with the ADF, an anti-LGBT organization, the Alliance for Defending Freedom. So they reached out to that group, and I brought this case to the courts. Chief U.S. District Judge John Tunheim basically threw out the case because stating that this is by the couple, Carl and Angel, putting on their website that they reserve the right to discriminate against gay people and not have work with gay people to produce gay videos. That is basically akin to active discrimination, like putting up a whites-only sign, and therefore it cannot be protected by the First Amendment. So while the case has been taken out by this judge, the ADF and the Carl and Angel Larson are moving forward with trying to have it reinstated or take it up to another appeals court to reserve their religious right to discriminate against gay people in the future. Despite the fact, once again, no one is coming to these people asking them to make any sort of videos.
Amazing. Just to reserve the right, just in case it happens.
Yes, and the right's always complaining about thought crime. So
the thing that I'm wondering too is if the point of their videos is to always glorify God, are they then going to throw out any video that doesn't have anything, like if it's just like, hey, I want you to come video my kid's in a play, they're doing Peter Pan, can you come video the play? And they would say, well, no, that doesn't glorify God.
Maybe.
Like if the purpose of the whole thing is just to make religious-based videos, which if it's to glorify God, then it sounds like it would be.
That's been their stated purpose, but they are a regular video production company as far as we know. So,
see, I might want to look through their entire catalog and question: does this glorify God? I mean, it's
well, now I'm worried. Well, what worries me is like much like with the cake thing. Are they going to get like a bunch of far right people asking them to make videos just to spite the LGBT community?
I mean, it might be like some kind of form of anti-marketing that they're doing this to like get customers that are specifically out there to, they're looking for customers who don't like gays to come in.
I suppose just having a normal business model.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I want to say stranger things have happened, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
No, I can.
So, right. We go now to Australia, where the argument over whether or not gay marriage should be allowed is in a heated, boiling pot down there for Australians. A billboard was put up this week letting Australians know that it's okay to say no. The purpose of the billboard was to say that it's okay to say no to gay marriage, basically trying to make Australians who might be feeling guilty about saying no to gay marriage, make them feel a little bit better about the idea of saying no to making gay marriage legal. The pizza place next door has decided to kind of add on to their sign, against the will of the people who made the sign. They wrote on their wall, and you can kind of see they're right next to each other, that now the sign reads, "It's okay to say no to pineapple being on pizza." So that now that the sign that was about gay marriage is now really about putting pizza or pineapple on pizza, and I think it kind of it speaks a stronger message to the people who might put pineapple on pizza. When asked about it, the pizza place said that they are just trying to raise awareness to the pineapple on pizza issue. they will still respect fruit or pineapple specifically on pizza orders, even though they're just putting it out there to let people know that it's okay to say no to having pineapple on your pizza. So have courage, pineapple pizza eating friends. I love this. I thought this was a great way to kind of combat that. And
so they're co-opting the message "no means no," which is used by women's organizations to protect against rape.
Yes.
To justify homophobia.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then the pizza place has now picked it up and took their message and the other company's message and said, and it's about pizza.
But is the pizza doing it ironically, like what they do with the Ben and Jerry no scoops thing?
I think they are doing it to make fun of the gay marriage, the anti-gay marriage people. Yeah. Okay. So I think the pizza place is doing a good job, and I love that when asked about it, they don't even bring up the gay marriage thing. They talk about it as if getting rid of pineapple on pizza is their political agenda, which I gotta say, I love that. Like, I would love if our rhetoric that is political could be more about pizza toppings and less about some of the terrible things that are going on in our world. Just because, for me, this is something I feel very strongly about pizza.
Is the tomato a fruit or a berry?
No, fruit and berry is the same. Isn't fruit and berries the same thing?
Are they?
I thought it was the debate: is the tomato a fruit or a vegetable? I thought that was the thing.
I thought it was either fruit or a berry or a vegetable, and no one can come to a consensus.
If it's fruit, if it's a berry, then it is a fruit. Berries are fruit. Like a blueberry is a fruit.
Right.
Yeah. So. Anyway.
Anyways, speaking of moral busybodies with too much free time on their hands, the organization 1 Million Moms is come up with a campaign protesting and writing letters against ABC's new 2008 project, the revival of the classic 90s sitcom Roseanne. You all remember Roseanne, but middle class, let's just say lower middle class family in the 90s. We're just trying to get by. Anyways, they're upset over the fact that in this upcoming reboot, Roseanne's granddaughter might be gender fluid or non-binary or have some sort of non-traditional gender role, and they just cannot allow that because, as they've stated, showing that on screen will just show that, it might seduce people to a certain way of thinking, and that they're bringing up the same tired rhetoric that using, shoddy biology, that male is male, female is female, and there's nothing in between whatsoever, and so they don't want, they're trying their hardest to get this idea taken off the air. Which is going on right now in TV land, because allegedly the upcoming reboot of the Xena, the other 90s show, featuring actual lesbian characters, is also not going through with fruition. So no intersex on Roseanne, no lesbian Xena. I'm sorry. If you want to watch lesbian Xena, just watch the original series.
But they are bringing back Will and Grace.
Oh, they are.
So okay. That's absolutely happening. That actually starts, I think, in a couple weeks. That's back.
Okay. So everyone's out of original ideas.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That also is happening.
That's how we got our president.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and go to Susan Frawley with an editorial.
We did not have time for this last week, but this week we want to do a tribute to a great lady, an LGBTQ hero. Edie Windsor, passed away at age 88 on September 12th. Ms. Windsor was the plaintiff in the Supreme Court case Edith Windsor versus the United States of America that led to the Discriminatory Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, being declared unconstitutional, and this made same-sex marriage legal in all 50 states. In the 1960s, Ms. Windsor met Thea Spire, and the couple would be together until Ms. Spire's death in 2009. In 1993, they entered into a domestic partnership, but in 2007, Ms. Spire, who suffered from multiple sclerosis, was given only a year to live. Same-sex marriage was not yet legal in their state, New York State, so they flew to Canada and were married. When Ms. Spire died, their marriage was not recognized and not granted one of the many benefits given to heterosexual married couples, tax breaks. And this caused Ms. Windsor to have to pay over $360,000 in estate taxes. Edie then sued the United States, And on June 26, 2015, she won her case and same-sex marriage was legalized in all 50 states. Ms. Windsor started a battle over taxes that resulted in marriage rights for all gay people. She was an inspiring woman, and now after all the years she spent in the closet, she could be out, and she was out, and she was proud. She was there for the community and kept up the fight. She is a hero of mine, and is a hero for all of us that are still out here fighting for our rights to be seen as equal citizens. If you want to learn more about her and her relationship with Ms. Spire, you can view the documentary Edie and Thea, A Very Long Engagement that was made in 2009. In conclusion, we are including a small clip about this inspirational woman made by the Human Rights Campaign.
Edie Windsor had no idea when she was growing up, no idea in a million years, that she would go on to be a civil rights icon and change American history the way it has.
The 9 justices wrestling again with the question of same-sex marriage, but this time they were challenged by an 83-year-old woman.
Because the federal government didn't recognize their same-sex marriage.
I am today an out lesbian, okay, who just sued the United States of America, which is kind of overwhelming for me.
This woman, born in the 1920s, has become a kind of folk hero to countless young Americans in the 20-teens.
You guys, I'm talking to you freely. You know, I'd have been hiding in a closet 10 years ago. Okay, so all you guys now know that the Supreme Court has announced its decision in Windsor versus the United States. And we won everything we asked and hoped for. Wow.
Edie, thank you so much for the trail that you've blazed for us.
Oh my goodness, Edie.
And you're one of my heroes. I think you're courageous and incredible.
Thank you for kicking ass.
You've set the ground for us to be able to continue to make strides for our community. So thank you.
I'm a mess. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Susan. All right, once again, I've been Ramin.
And I've been Ben Weddell.
And we've been the Rainbow Review.
I'm Edie Windsor. I live in New York City, but I was born in Philadelphia and brought up there. I was about 7 years old and roller skated to see where my new house was going to be. We were moving with a girl. And I remember sitting on the curb resting, waiting for somebody to come pick us up because we were too tired to go skate back. And I remember putting my arm around her and feeling very proprietary. I also wanted to be Dick Powell, not Ruby Keeler. Well, I became engaged to be married to my big brother's best friend, who I thought was the sweetest, handsomest. I mean, we really loved each other, except if I saw 2 women together on the street. I was so jealous. And I finally said to him, within a year, I said, honey, you deserve more. You deserve somebody for whom you are the be-all and end-all, and I need something else. And then I made a much stronger discovery of that in fact, I was a lesbian. Once we, the whole community, began to come out, okay, and be visible, it started to move much more rapidly. When people discovered that their children or their cousins or their brother or their husband, okay, were gay, so I think the way that it accelerated in this last 5 years has been glorious. And among other things, the lawyer who took me on, okay, like Martin Luther King, said there's no wrong time to fight for justice.